Yo, what's up, our Dynasty peeps? You got it. This is the BS Dynasty Show. We're back. We're rebooting. We've retooled. We're done with redraft. We moved over to the off season. So me and my boy Smitty, our host, me, Brian, my boy Carl, we're gonna try to keep you all entertained. I will tell you, there's a lot of people listening to this podcast inside a couple of our leagues. We're branching out. I'm gonna start posting this in some different Dynasty chats, things like that. So you know what? You like us? Listen to us. You don't. If you got some feedback, want us to talk about something, let us rip. But you know what? It's off season, Carl. How you doing? How are you feeling with 1 week of no fantasy football, my man?
Well, as a Rams fan, the stress has left the fantasy playoffs into real life playoffs, and that's a whole different thing. So I'm equally stressed, man, to be honest.
Yeah, so for the people that are new to listening to this at all, that we're going to drop in some new leagues. Smitty over here, he is a diehard Cardinal, or sorry, diehard Los Angeles Rams fan. I'm a diehard Cardinals fan, so by nature, he's wrong, I'm right, and we love to debate. So you know what? We're going to talk some fantasy football. We're going to debate some best albums of Metallica today. We're just going to have some fun, kill the off season. But so yes, congratulations on the playoffs, Smitty. I'm really proud of your Rams. I can suck up my Cardinal love and just say that this is a really tough matchup for you this week. Are you feeling confident?
I'm not, to be honest, because our secondary is really going to get us beat. They give up huge plays every single week, and they got a dog and Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's going to be the man of my nightmares for the next couple of days.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. But we'll get down to the playoff breakdown in just a little bit. We'll get going on the dynasty here in a second. I just wanted to open the show. So, by the way, we do talk some real football on our podcast. You know, for those who haven't listened to this before, real football, dynasty, redraft, whatever you want. But this one's specific to redraft and real fantasy, real football. So, first off, guys, I got to give a shout out. We have lost some goats this week. If we think about the last 2 days of our lives, we have lost Billy B, we have lost PDC, and we've also lost Mickey S. When we look at that, if you
PDC.
look at Belichick, you look at Carroll, and you look at Saban, here's what we just lost in the football community. We lost a combined 7 Super Bowls and 8 national championships between those three. And all of them are tied together, which is just absolutely epic. Saban was on Belichick's coaching staff for the Browns before he went over to Michigan State, then went to LSU, and then Alabama. Then we had Billy B take over for Pete Carroll when he got canned from the Patriots. So these three are forever united together. And man, it bye bye guys. Well done. I don't know where Billy B's going. Smitty, do you know where Billy B's going? Any ideas?
Yeah, he's going to need a Brady-esque quarterback, so I don't see why he doesn't try for the Chargers. I mean, because like here's why I want him to play for the Chargers or to coach for the Chargers, because I want him to beat the most winningest coach in the NFL record of all time. I think he could
16
hit it
away.
in 3 seasons. Oh, wait, how many?
16 games away. It's either 14 or 16.
16? Oh man,
Yeah, it's
that's
14 or
easily
16.
two.
It's right there.
14 to 16. That's easily 2 seasons, maybe one. I mean, not likely for one, but I want him to hit that. I want him to succeed. So he needs to go somewhere where he can get a damn good quarterback in. The Chargers is the best available quarterback, in my opinion. What do you think? Where do you want him to go?
I
Belichick.
don't think he's the best available quarterback. I
Oh,
actually think, and
okay.
by the way, I haven't been listening to the NFL Live or anything because I really like to give my own thoughts. If anything was on there, I apologize. But guys, if you get a chance to upgrade your coach, I don't even care if you made the playoffs this year, you need to do it because I'll tell you what, Philadelphia is about to get
Oh,
bounced. Philadelphia or Dallas might get bounced. And you're telling me Jerry Jones with that squad, if they don't get bounced, they'll fire their coach and hire Belichick, or in Philly, those two teams are ready to win. It's a perfect marriage for him. So that's just my bold prediction that a playoff team might fire their coach to get Billy B. But if not, I do agree. I mean, Thor out there with the long hair, just give him his quarterback. But I mean, you should literally every team should be in a fight for him. I mean, he's
yeah.
I don't really like the guy, but he is arguably the greatest coach of all time. I mean, there's only two coaches, him and Lombardi. I mean, whichever one you want to rank first is fine by me. You know. So
And he
it's
has
gonna
the
be
record to beat.
crazy.
I want him to beat that record.
Ah, man, I can't believe it. Do you think he got fired? It looks like it was a good split, but he
Kind
got
of.
fired, didn't he? He got canned.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he did a lot of crazy moves in those drafts. I mean, honestly, I'd fire him myself personally.
Oh my God, dude, I swear there's no loyalty. This is no loyalty in football. You win six NFL championships, and you go to 9 Super Bowls, and you're done. You have 3 bad years, you're gone, dude. You're gone. So, no
I mean,
loyalty, man.
he kicked Brady out of what is it, New England, whatever. He kicked him out of there. That's
Yeah,
that's really disrespectful, honestly.
I agree, but you know what? We're gonna see if this Patriots way exists anymore. But landing
Oh,
spots before we get in the dynasty, about 30 seconds. But landing spots for a coach in New England because it sure looks like Mike Vrabel might be a good fit over there. Um,
oh, how cool would that be? A former
yeah,
Patriot
Flores.
go back to his team.
Yeah, or
Ramondre
Flores.
could be amazing next year. Whew, I like it.
I do too. All right, we'll get off real football. So let's jump in. Let's give the people what they came here for. They want their dynasty knowledge. So guys, we're gonna spend about maybe another 45 minutes to an hour just BSing across the board. We got some funny things going on. So let's Smitty, I want your recap of the 2023 dynasty. And by the way, I want to tell everyone that's listening to this pod, we are not experts. We are your everyday Joes playing fantasy football to have fun, trying to win. You're gonna get some good knowledge, you're gonna get some bad knowledge, but the reality is let's hope you can figure out which one's which. But we're going to debate a lot of things on here. Smitty and I have a much different approach to Dynasty, even though he's coming in my direction. I retooled how I do Dynasty in the last year of my life, really the last 2 years. So this is what we're going to teach you different styles and take what you want out of it. Hopefully you laugh at some of the crap that we do. But what's your recap of 2023? Like where do you leave the Dynasty year? Forget redraft, Dynasty. How are you feeling?
Well, actually, no, and I have two things I want to mention. Number one, if you're doing a startup this season, please consider loading up on these quarterbacks because you can't rely on Joe Burrow the whole season. And you know what? They can't rely on they can't rely on Aaron Rodgers all season. So if you have like low key a nice little collection of backup quarterbacks, I think you can survive the next season because this was a brutal season for quarterbacks. And a second thing I want to mention is in redraft, we all kind of agree that the pickups of the year were Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. And Dynasty, those two pickups of the year were a whole different thing because you got them for a third round in a rookie draft. You probably got them. You probably found them off waivers, and once they started becoming a thing, you had yourself a little gold mine, and the value was just super questionable throughout the season. So the question is, what did you do with that gold mine? Did you keep it? Did you trade away? Did you undervalue the trade? Did you overpay? It was such a beautiful question, and everyone who had one or both of the players was really faced with the question of what do I do with Kyron or Puka?
You know, I think when it comes to Kyron Williams, this is going to be a really interesting debate, and I'm going to flip up our script a little bit because we had a question come in here, and from one of our friends, and it was around a keeper question. So I know we're doing dynasty, but we can talk about some keepers here. And the question is, what the
Hmm.
hell do I do with Bijan Robinson and Kyron Williams? And guys, we've got nicknames for all players, so I'll just kind of start talking when we get there. If we ever say 204, that is a nickname for Kyron Williams because he went off for 204 yards against the Cardinals. And Smitty on our other podcast told me that about 50 times, so we call him 204. But when we look at Kyron Williams versus Bijan, this is such an interesting question, like takeaway for me. So when I look at it, I sold every share I had of Kyron Williams across the board, and I got a lot of first round draft picks for him. And
Damn.
I play fantasy a little bit differently. This is where we differ: is running backs don't matter as much to me. And we're going to do some as we go because we're going to do this pod weekly, and we're going to get into some roster construction, quarterbacks, what's the optimum number of running backs and quarterbacks and those types of things to have. But I went into this year with an any man on a 53 roster thought process. I want stud alpha wide receivers. I want to anchor my super flex teams because everything we talk about in this pod is going to be super flex. If you play in a one quarterback dynasty league, sorry, not the podcast for you. We're going to keep it really simple. We'll get into 10 starters, 11, 12, those types of things, but its standard is going to be super flex. But right now, when I look at this year, it was a wrong thought process. And it wasn't that I was wrong on running backs, that they don't matter as much to me in dynasty sometimes with my build. It's the actual coaching staff and the team matters for the backup or the backup to the backup. And you know, I look at that. So take Cincinnati for instance. When Joe Mixon was out, did you give a shit who his backup running back was? I mean, there was Chase Brown in there for a couple weeks, but the majority of the season did not matter who that backup running back was. Denver did not matter who that backup running back was. I mean, maybe a game here, but there's no value for it. So for me, it's going to be selective of the backup running backs I want, opposed to really going out and drafting late on those running backs. But running backs do matter. You know, they do. I am starting to turn that corner a little bit. I'll give them their value. But if I can get a first round draft pick for a running back, I'm going to. Period. Send it to me. I'll accept it. I mean, I can't imagine me not accepting a first round draft pick for a running back. I mean, I would never send a first round for a running back. Would you send a first round for running back, Smitty?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I swear, when it comes to Dynasty, I am big on player hunting. And has it screwed me over this year? Absolutely. Has it won me a championship this year? Absolutely. I love the player hunt because I mean, like you said, some of these things are selective. You know, some of them have amazing situations, some of them have amazing schedules, some of them have amazing coaches, some of them have insane coaches. I mean, it's just if I can target a player that I think will get me far, I will pay whatever for him, especially if I believe in him.
So a podcast, and by the way, I will answer your question. What are you doing with him? Puka, I'm keeping. It's going to be very difficult for you to tear him off of my team. Kyron, come get him. I'll sell him. I don't have any more shares of him. But Puka, man, it's going to be real hard to get him off my roster. It's hard to get a wide receiver from me. You know, I'm just honest, but I'm open and I'm realistic about trades. I like doing trades. So yeah, Puka he's a beast, man. And as long as he's got that quarterback there and Matthew Stafford and that coach, I'm happy. I mean, do you think you're a Rams fan, Smitty? Is Does Cooper Cup become Cooper Cup if he plays for the Patriots, if he plays for Chicago, if he plays for the Lions? Does he become Cooper Cup, or is he a product of a really good talent with an amazing system for him? I think it's the latter half.
I definitely think it's the latter half because Stafford has like a history of feeding his dogs. Like it's crazy. And if someone's open and someone's open, he'll of course give it to that guy. But he loves to feed his dogs. Look at Megatron, look at Puka, look at Cooper.
But
So
it's not like
I don't think Aaron Rodgers would be an amazing quarterback for Cooper Cup because he doesn't overfeed like Stafford does.
yeah, I want a quarterback that's going to feed two alpha wide receivers and hyper target them both. And that's Matthew Stafford.
Hmm.
His 1A, 1B, doesn't matter what it is, he's going to hyper target it. Those threes, those fours, yeah, they'll get a target, but it doesn't matter. So you hit the nail on the head, man. It's about hyper targeting the wide receiver two or one. I like
And
those
with that
takes.
being said, we can also say that Puka will not have Stafford forever. He just won't. He just won't. So I don't know what Puka will look like with another quarterback. Maybe one of these rookies coming up. I don't know what that's going to look like, but at the end of the day, a dog's a dog.
Dog's a dog. Feed him. Feed him, man. They got to get fed. And you know these wide receivers are prima donnas. They got to get fed or they're
Facts.
not going to be happy. Um, so that's kind of my takeaway is I need to retool, be flexible. You know, every time the season's over, we got to have these look into our souls. What did we do right? What did we do
Mm.
wrong? Did the process work? What happened? You know, and that's really where my viewpoint was. And look, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like guys, I love one particular that is a hating podcast on running backs. I might have bought in a little too much. I got to blend these together a little bit. So be flexible and be willing to change your mind and say you're wrong about a thought process as we go. Now, Smitty, what worked for you though? So if you take, I mean, you got a dynasty championship this year. Great championship, by the way. You took over a dormant team. You went from last to first. Absolutely fantastic. You got your title. I also am in a lot of other leagues with you. You had a really good year in dynasty across the board, even though you only took home one title. But what worked for you? What were the things that worked?
I'm telling you, it's player hunting. I targeted certain players with certain situations. I mean, that's really it, man. I love player hunting. I just don't really know what the deal with a pick is. I mean, we can get a Puka in the third. We can get a Jordan Addison in the first. We can get a Quentin Johnson in the first. I mean, do I want the Quentin Johnson or do I want the Puka? Like it's these picks are like really mystery boxes to me. So I just like player hunting. I like knowing who this player is and going after that guy.
So this is a good time to have a conversation around liquidity, and this is for anyone who's going to listen to us during the off season. This is where Carl and me we really have a different thought process on because I would prefer the pick, and the reason I prefer the pick is I want the liquidity of that pick opposed to a name on it. I don't have to worry about an injury. Right now we're in the off season. We're going to get into a little bit talking about what we're doing in the off season, but I want the liquidity of that pick. And if you build your roster right, you should have multiple first round, multiple second round, multiple third rounds. And you should always be looking at that because there's a point that's going to come into the season where you need to go buy a player. And we need to talk about league economy too, because if you're playing in a league where the league economy is the same way, and you can go get a Zamir White off somebody for a third round pick when nobody wanted Zamir White, like that third round pick matters, the liquidity of that pick, because the one thing I will say that I agree with on some of the pods I listen to is I'm not arrogant enough to think that I know what a player is going to do. So I want multiple options for one to hit. I don't know who it's going to be. Look at who's going to be the Zach Moss this year. Who's going to have a midseason and just destroy like Zach Moss did? I don't have a clue who that's going to be. Who's going to be the Zamir White in the playoffs? I don't know next year. It was Zamir White this year. Not a clue. I want the liquidity of those picks to be able to go buy that player on a team that it's going to die on. So, if you're not a playoff team, you had Zamir White on there, yeah, you're probably taking a third round pick for him. I would. I did. I sent it to a few teams for a third round pick when I wasn't in the playoffs because I'm not arrogant enough to think he's going to be the starter there next year. So, I'm all about the liquidity side of picks. Smitty, you're not. You like proven talent. And it's just interesting when you think about that. But when you talk about proven talent, let's talk about process now. So, there's a big thing that anyone knows me, I'll keep saying it, process over player, process over player. And I will tell you that in redraft this year, this was the first year in redraft where I'm seeing more people talk about process over player, and it's not just start your studs. So Dynasty is now bleeding into redraft, and redraft is also bleeding into Dynasty these days. But what's your process around players there? What are you looking for from a vet? What are you looking for to go sell a second round pick for? I mean, how are you trying to find that player?
Hmm. Okay. If I'm if I'm trying to give up a second for a certain player,
Yep.
I mean, I usually for seconds I usually go for someone who could be an every week flex, a like just a little bit above a spot start, but looks like a spot start. I would give a in 2023. I think a second for Jacoby Myers was a great trade. I
Yep.
think because he had some boom moments, and then when Garoppolo went down, or when Garoppolo was benched, uh, he wasn't so great. So it's just if you were able to ride that Garoppolo train and got a second out of him, that's a nice little process, huh?
We should have given Jimmy G an award for not getting injured this year.
Oh, Jimmy G needs no awards. Jimmy L. Better matter of
Oh,
fact.
he needs it. He needs that good looking one. I'm telling you what, if there's one guy we want to look like without being too muscular, it's Jimmy G in the NFL, man. That's Jimmy GQ. But thank God he's on the bench. But am I
Ugh.
bringing you into my world over process versus player? Are you buying in a little bit though, Smitty? Where it's Jacoby Myers is such a good
Well,
example.
okay, so yeah, it did because I like if he has some boom moments, great time to sell, get a pick out of it. That's awesome. And also, okay, and then with that second, right? So later in the playoffs, you have a Mostert, right? You have a Mostert who has a great playoff schedule. He's going hard. Um, Now you want to use that second to purchase, I mean, to trade for Mostert and see how far he takes you at that point. So I actually totally get the process plan perfectly. I just haven't really done it.
Yeah, well,
Not
you're
much at
gonna
least.
get there. I'm telling you, you're gonna get there because you're growing as a dynasty player. I'm growing as a dynasty player, and again, we're not arrogant enough to think we know everything. We're learning as we're doing this. But there's a really good example, and this goes into the League of Champions that me and you play in together. Is I did a unique build there, so I'm usually not a go for it first year type of build. I went for it, and I broke my cardinal rule, which is giving up future picks of the next year after we do a startup. And right now I'm stuck with no 24 picks and I'm going nuts. It's like my only squad I don't have any picks on. And I didn't win the championship. So I hate how I built that. I did it specifically to offset a different thought process. But I had to midseason send Romeo Dobbs to go get Raheem Mostert to fill my running back spot. And this was a point in the year where I was like, I don't have the liquidity that I want right now because I wish I could trade picks to go get my guy right now. Not a first, but I wish I could trade a pick, not a player in this particular situation. And it bit me. And I'm hoping now that Raheem's going to have another dream next year. But I don't know. So that's why I'm just saying I'm not arrogant enough to know, but I got to have the liquidity. And Smitty, you never have liquidity, man. You just, dude, when you do a startup, bro, you go ham. You go all in. I'm like, when I'm going to start up with you, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get this motherfucker's first pick. I'm going to get his second pick. By the way, bro, who's
Oh
ever
man.
listening,
And I'll end up in the
actually,
playoffs. I'll end up in the playoffs.
I know, but don't you just hate it? It's the Andy Holloway like way of doing it. Don't you hate it like when you literally don't win a championship and you look at your squad, you're like, shit, I don't
Oh
have any
yeah,
picks
this
this
time of
year.
year? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this
Oh,
time of year I'm kicking myself.
it's dark, dude. It is a dark feeling. Now, so
Now
I
I
want
gotta
to
be
get
a tear
back.
down Tommy.
Yeah, I want to get back into that question that we had, Kyron or Bijan on a keeper. I got off track a little bit
Oh
there.
yes.
Yeah, so 204, Kyron Williams. So I'm a fan. I'm becoming a fan. It's a perfect system for him. And right now we can all buy in. We can all say, is Kyron Williams worth a first round pick? Late round, yeah, I mean, at this point we know where people's draft order is. But the thing that I keep thinking about and I really think when we're doing drafting, and especially in redraft and keepers, is this is literally going to be a decision. Bijan Robinson or Kyron Williams. Like, this is going to be a draft decision of who you want to draft first next year. And this goes to Bijan on my side right now as we sit. Is I would rather have Bijan if I'm doing any type of transacting right now because I believe LA has a better chance of drafting another running back. Whether or not it's just meant to be a backup, I just believe someone else is going to enter that picture. Where I don't think it's going to happen in Atlanta. But Cassidy, if you're listening, there are some serious asterisks going on here because if Bill Belichick lands in Atlanta, I am taking Kyron Williams over Bijan all day. I have spent my life trying to avoid Bill Belichick running backs. I really have. Ramondre Stevenson last year was like the only one that really smashed for you. So, it's going to come down to coaching in Atlanta, I think. But I am on the Bijan side right now as we sit. Smitty, we were kind of debating this. You thought you were kind of disappointed in Bijan this year. And it cracks me up because he was an RB1. I think he was the RB 10 and a half point. Is there 10, 11, somewhere right in there. But would you rather 204? And is it just because you're an LA fan? Or let's get some unbiased opinion here, okay, Smitty?
All right, well I mean, this is my biggest thing with Bijan. He gave you negative point 10 points in a playoff weekend. I think that was week 15, if not 16. That cannot ever happen. I mean, he might have lost some people some weeks. I mean, that's dark, honestly. That's really dark, and that's upsetting, and you might have some words for his Twitter account. But now that Arthur Smith is gone, this question is really great. So the way, okay, this is a dynasty league or a keeper? You said keeper.
This was a
Um,
keeper for just this.
just for next year, right?
Yep.
The beautiful thing is he has time to see what the coaching situation is going to be in Atlanta, and I mean, imagine a coach getting Bijan on their squad and saying, "Let's use him less than Tyler Algier." That's just crazy. So though this is how I see it. I see Bijan as Christian McCaffrey, and I see Kyron Williams as Christian McCaffrey light. And that answers the question. So just would you rather have the guy that can literally do it all, run, pass, probably even throw, or do you want the guy who can do it all, but he might get hurt? I'd rather have Christian McCaffrey slash Bijan.
I would too. I really would too. And this goes into my sentiment on running backs as well. If we were to, so if we kind of rewind 12 months ago, we were talking about draft class coming up. Holy crap, it's the Bijan out. I mean, all we would be talking about is fucking
Yeah.
Bijan, Bijan, Bijan. Are we drafting Bijan at the 101 above A Rich? Are we, are we doing all this? And now, one
Oh
year
yeah.
later, we're like, would you trade it first? Would you trade the 104 for him this year? Would you do these
Oh, is that the
things? So
conversation? Really?
no, I'm just
I
saying,
can get the
like there.
104 for him?
I don't know. Can you? Would you trade the 104 for Bijan? I wouldn't.
Oh God, you're asking the wrong person because I adore this kid still. Um,
Bro, I think you gave up three first rounders for him in a league last year.
yeah, no, I did some crazy stuff for him, and Uh, the 104? Sheesh, maybe. We'll see what the situation is. It's going to be tough, though.
But we were talking about paying up to get him no later than the 102 last year. No later than a 102 last year. So things change so fast when it comes to running backs. Wide receivers, it doesn't change as much. A little bit, but you know what? We expect a wide receiver to, have a slower start and build into a pickup towards the end of the year. I think it's a good time to bring up this one, but so fantasy season's over, but what are you doing right now? So we've got, there's a couple pivotal, a couple moments coming up. We've got NFL draft and we got free agency. What are you doing in your dynasty leagues now until then? So half the leagues I have waiver wires frozen. All of my leagues, I'm pretty much it's wide open to the trade market right now, which should be. I mean, it should be that way. But what are you doing right now until you see where players sign or who's on whose team coming out of the draft?
I'm looking at offenses. I'm looking at offenses like the Giants particularly and saying, okay, if they were to draft another quarterback, that's going to be messy. If they were to draft another wide receiver, that's going to be messy. If they draft a running back, that's going to be messy. So I just those three things alone being messy, I'm looking to sell my Giants. So I'm looking at situations like those and saying, who am I open to selling at this moment? Because, like you say, I run out of liquidity quick in these dynasty leagues, and I need to know who am I willing to offload now, and then maybe even do it before I become right or very wrong.
Yeah, and I hope you're on the side of it that you're not arrogant enough to think that you're going to be right and you have a good possibility of being wrong because we are wrong much more than we're right in this league or just in general in fantasy football, not this league, fantasy football. But it cracks me up. There's always those players out there that think they know everything, and it's like, dude, things happen, injuries happen. Like this world. If you think you know everything, you're absolutely going to go nuts. So have a process. So for me right now, what I'm doing is one, I already got done for the most part on all of my dynasty squads. If I was not in contention to win a title, running backs are gone at this point. I mean, they are just gone. I'm not holding
Whew.
Aaron Jones the last 3 years. Like, they're gone. I want the liquidity. I'll figure it out down the line. I've got picks. I can tier up. I've got plenty of wide receivers that I can go get a running back for a wide receiver in any of my leagues. I mean, that's just the cold hard truth. I mean, am I going to go get CMC? Am I going to go get someone like that right now? No, but I can find a running back. Think about Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry just had an okay season. Wasn't great. Wasn't that bad. What can you go buy Derrick Henry for on a team that you think you can compete next year from a team that doesn't think they can compete? Because I guarantee you, it's not. I mean, it's just not that much. I mean, if you have Derrick Henry, you're taking a late second at this point, a late 24 second
Uh,
on a non-competing team. I am.
yeah, maybe even a veteran receiver who's like seemingly on their way out. Like if we're gonna do players, but yeah, I think I can't really speak for Henry though. I do not know what that situation looks like. It's too much of a question mark for me.
Yeah, but if you think you can compete, so the first, by the way, I was going to say, right now, I'm not trading for a running back until training camp, until at least midway through training camp. If I'm going to trade for a running back,
Yeah, I
I
like
want
that. I like
no
that.
injury risk. I will usually go trade for my running backs right after training camp before the season starts, and it's just
Hmm.
I don't want to lose any liquidity on a position that it's crazy to get injured on. I'm also not going to speculate. I think I know what coach is going to go where. Like I'm not going to speculate that Bill Belichick is going to go to, uh, you know, uh, L.A. the Chargers, and it's going to make the team so much better. Like I'm just not going to do that. I'll let the dust settle in there because I've got enough liquidity around almost all my squads that I can pivot and go get what I want when I know it's there. Because the reality is, if I think I know something's going to happen, I go make that trade. That's just not going to happen. I mean, it's just I'm going to jinx myself, and so I'm just dumping. If I have any running backs left on squads that I went for it, there I'm letting them go. I'm just letting them go, and I'm going to figure it out as we get into the rookie draft and as I have my liquidity picks to going into the season. I mean, who would have thought how many? I would love to know. I wish I could figure out a way to do this, but the percentage breakdown of championships won with Zamir White as their running back, that I would love to know what the percentage of all the teams
I'm
on
just so
sleeping.
fascinated with this Zamir White thing. I mean, oh my God. I guess I
He
totally get it. It
won
makes the process make sense.
He won
I get
people
it.
championships. He won people championships. And by the way, I'm going to tell the story for people that haven't heard this. So Smitty over here was playing in the opening round of the playoffs, and this is a league I commission. I take the trade waiver. I take the trade deadline completely off. Go do what you want. Any point in the year you want to make your team better, I don't care. Go make your team better. Go buy a championship. Don't cheat. Don't do collusion. But you know what? Do your thing. So opening round of the playoffs, I sent Smitty a text. I'm like, I'm going to trade Zamir White, and I'm going to trade him the person you're playing this week. Here's my offer. Do you want to beat it because he's going to help you win a championship? Let's just say Smitty did not take that deal, wanted nothing to do with Zamir White, and I have a beautiful third round pick on my team, and he helps somebody win. So I just still can't get over
Well,
that.
actually, if I'm being honest with you, he still ended up losing the matchup.
Oh, that's right, he did in that one. But you were sweating that one, weren't you? You were gonna
A little bit, yeah, a little
you were
bit.
getting pissed when
I mean,
Zamir
I
White put up
honestly, I should have
almost
got
30.
smoked.
Yeah.
I should have got smoked. Like, it's crazy how he lost. Oh man, I'd be wildly upset if I was him. But you know, because he removed the trade barrier, he was able to make his team better and turn the situation around from being the first round exit. So, if we want to talk about reasons why you should get rid of trade deadlines, boom.
I agree. I'm a big advocate of it. Smitty, we're in a league. That's the league I was talking about before that I went for it. I got no picks, and I know we were talking to the chat on this one today. Was do we want to extend the trade deadline? I have a specific way I like to play Dynasty, and this, I really want people to listen to this part because if you want to play Dynasty the way you want to play, let's say you don't want to trade deadline.
Hmm.
Let's say there's a specific way you want to play Dynasty. Don't throw it in the chat to say, hey, commish, we should do this. Go start your own league and be a commissioner and build the league the way you want it to be built. Because as commissioner, I start up a new
Oh,
dynasty every single off season because I want to play dynasty football the way I want to play dynasty football. And I will welcome anybody that wants to play it like this. But this is the way I want to play. So let me get the people together that want to play this way. I don't want to change the rules down the line. I want people to let the commission run a league. So what I'd say is, in any league I'm in, all you commissioners, I love you guys. I know what it takes to do to be a commissioner there. Run your league the way you want to. You'll never have me tell you how to run a league. Run it. I'll play it anyway. I knew what I was getting into. Run it your way. Smitty, do you believe commissioners should run the league the way they want to have fun?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Are you commissioner in any dynasties?
Oh God, no. Oh no, no. I'm too goofy for that. I can't have. I just want. I want all the parody. Honestly, I can't do it. I
Oh,
can't
it's
do
so
it.
fun. Smitty, it's so fun. You play in two of mine. By the way, for anyone that's listening to this, I will be starting up a new dynasty, 12 teamer. I'm probably going to do a start 11, maybe 12, probably half point tight end premium. If anyone's interested, shoot me a DM. I'll get you guys in. I know a lot of people love to have fun in my leagues. I try to make them as fun as I can, especially for dynasty. But hit me up. We'll probably do, I'll figure out the buy-ins. Yeah, I don't want this one to be too crazy. Maybe like 50 to 100 bucks somewhere in there. We'll figure that out. But hit me up if you guys want to do that. Now, Smitty, let's have some fun because we like to have some laughter in here. You put a cool little would you rather in here. So what's your would you rather?
Okay, I'll admit I had a very insane would you rather, and I just at the last minute said it's a little too disturbing. Let's
Oh
change it.
shit! I didn't realize you changed
I,
it.
I I had to change it. I'm sorry. It was. I don't want to say the word pedophile here. So we're not going to talk about Epstein's list. I'm sorry, guys. I wanted to do an Epstein's list one, and I just removed it because I can't. We're not talking about that.
I
I'm
had
sorry.
straight so many jokes lined up for this one, so I'm gonna pivot. But read it off. What's
Oh,
our would you? No, let's.
all
You're
right. I
right. You're
apologize.
right.
I couldn't do it. So, yes. Would you rather have an obsessive, insane person love you or hate you?
I've had this in
And
my
I'm
career first.
honestly. Oh, okay. Let's hear this.
Yeah, so I know if you're watching this on YouTube, I don't shine up nice and I'm not the best looking guy, but I have had a stalker before. I have absolutely had a stalker
Oh.
before. And I have absolutely had to break up with someone because they were way too crazy about just everything about me. Now, all right, so I would much rather have them love me. I would much rather have them love me, dude. Like when we're talking about crazy white female, I know that's a little bit before your time. I mean, but we're talking about when people are obsessive, insane, and they hate you. Like, I'm worried about my life. Like, I mean, there's like, I live in the cowboy west town of Scottsdale, Arizona, where everyone's got a freaking gun. I don't want anybody to hate me that has a gun, so I don't want
How old
anyone
are you?
obsessed. No, man, it's crazy. Dude, we're nuts out here. I literally live in like, dude, they literally do a rodeo up the street for me in, in Cave Creek, Arizona, dude.
Holy shit, that's kind of hard, Loki. Okay, but also, I mean, you can also fear for your life with an obsessive, insane person that loves you because they can be one of those, if I can't have you, nobody can types, and then start killing other people, and then they'll frame it on you until you're just like, okay, yes, fine, I love you. Please stop murdering people in my name.
Okay,
Like, I don't know.
so there's a
This is crazy
possibility
tough
I
for me.
die either way, correct? Whether or not they love me or hate me.
I mean, yeah, until you mm, please the hater or please the lover. I don't know.
So let,
How do you please the hater? That's a good question.
I don't know, but when I think about someone obsessively hating me, I think of like those like
Hmm.
witch dolls and just putting pins in them and just like literally just killing my entire body as I go like straight voodoo. I mean, like when you obsessively hate somebody, I want to be loved. I'm a lover. I'm a lover. So what's
But
your
here's the
answer?
thing, though. Here's the thing, though. I obsessively hate the 49ers, but I would never, ever, ever, ever do anything to them. I mean, if I ever see Shanahan, I don't know what I'd do, frankly, but it won't be violent and it won't be scary. But I mean, like, I don't have an answer. I guess I would rather have an obsessive, insane person, insane person love me than hate me because, yeah, you know what? But then again,
So
the
the
hate could be
so
fueling, man.
so if they're obsessively in love with something, that's like how you feel about the LA Rams. Would you want to be yourself to the LA Rams?
Oh, this is fantastic. Yeah, so would I rather, oh wow, would I rather have someone love me the way I love the Rams or have someone hate me the way I hate the 49ers? Wow, now this makes this question a lot more safer. Um,
You're a lover,
I
Smitty. You
think
know
there's
it.
a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun I could have with someone who hates me as much as I hate the Niners. I think that would be it. I think that's my answer.
Okay, I
That's
agree.
a,
I
I just
agree.
see a lot of fun there.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just saying we're gonna do the question you were supposed to have on here next week because it is friggin' hilarious, and I really want to make people laugh
Okay,
on
it's a
that
little
one.
okay.
Dude, that
All
one was
right,
fire.
I'm a little nervous. All
All right,
right,
so
let's do it
let's get
then.
off the laughter. Let's get back into the dynasty side of it. So I want to take a couple minutes to just talk about best moves we've made this year. Just there's a couple that really stand out to me. Worst moves we made this year. There's a couple that stand out to me. But Carl, I asked you what your best move was this year, and your answer on here is ridiculous. I'm going to call you out. Your answer on my sheet says, frankly, didn't make any great moves. That is complete
I
BS
didn't.
because one of my worst
Really?
moves is one of your best moves. Do you know that
Well, let's hear this.
I totally regret sending you Jordan Love and a second round pick, or sorry, and a first round pick for Anthony Richardson. I totally regret that decision.
What?
It was my
I
worst move I
regret
felt I
losing
made all
him.
year. I thought I was tearing
Are
up.
you serious?
I gave you a first round draft pick to tear up at the quarterback position and have sat back and realized I didn't tear up. I hope AR-15 is Jordan Love.
You totally teared up. You
No.
totally teared up because he's a running quarterback, and when he runs, Anthony Richardson is God tier. I mean, I literally seen this man evade Aaron Donald. Like, I have so much respect for AR5. I mean, my God, I really did not want to give him up, but I wanted the championship, so I said, "Hey, I'll do it." And if you want to reverse the trade, I'm very open to it.
We're gonna talk offline on that one because, oh god, the whole league's gonna get pissed. Like you guys are in collusion. Like no, this was a real trade that I just regret.
Oh, well, they can see here that we're really talking out the fact that we both regret it because AR5 is a dog. Oh my God, I'm excited for it.
Dude,
And yeah, Shane Steichen. Oh, I can't believe you want to say goodbye to Shane Steichen?
Jordan Love is him. Jordan Love's
No, I
him.
fully agree. I
Jordan
fully
Love's a
agree,
30
but
plus touchdown thrower. I look at if you're gonna
oh
throw
yeah,
under
I love those type of guys. You're right. I love that type. I love that type.
if you're gonna throw under 30 touchdowns, you better have some rushing yards. If you're gonna throw over 30 touchdowns, I don't give a crap what your rushing yardage is. I'm scoring. But yeah, no, and that was he's my he's my QB3 on that squad. But that was one of my worst moves. But look, I want to talk through a process trade I did in one of our leagues, and this was my. I did a couple of good ones this year that I really, really, really love. But I did a process trade on Tony Pollard, and this goes to exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the season. Is before week one, and the Dallas Cowboys, Smitty, you remember this? We're going to run the football. We're not going to throw the
Yep.
football because we want to control
Yeah,
the
Mike
clock.
McCarthy is a serious liar, and he should be looked into.
I'm curious if he lied or Tony Pollard, the wheels fell off and they really wanted to run the football. But either which way, I took that hype and said, you know what? Tony Pollard, I actually have a win now team, but I got J.K. Dobbins on this team. I got some other running backs that are going to fill in really nice. This team was anchored with two
He
just
had Gibbs as
stud
well.
yeah, two stud QBs. I had Mark Andrews stacked with Lamar. So I was like, you know what? Get him off my team. I sent him for DK Metcalf in a 101. I got him back. I went hard in the paint. That turned into DK Metcalf in the 109 in that league for Tony Pollard. If I had Tony Pollard on my team right now, I would literally hold a dust bag of nothingness. Like, I mean, I'd have no value left. So when a running back hits a value, just like 204 and Kyron Williams did, cash out. Cash out because there's a good probability wheels fall off on a short term side of it, and also they get injured quite a bit. But the other move I made, it's the
I
same.
hate to hear it, but it's so true.
I know, I know. And look, I'm not when I'm building a squad too, Smitty. I'm not really thinking 5 years out. I mean, everything I'm thinking is a 2 to 3 year window. Like that's really what I care about. I'm not arrogant enough to think I know where things are going to be in 3 years. And really, it's a 24-month window. I don't think I'm going to draft somebody and I'm going to hold them the next 10 years and they're still going to be on my squad and I'm going to be happy. I mean, I trade too much to do that to begin with. Um,
Hmm.
but the other side of it is I had to do another trade in that same league because J.K. Dobbins went out on me. And then look, this is like I went on an any man on a 53 and I picked the wrong teams to do it, which is why I've also changed a lot of my thought process. But when I realized I was not making the playoffs, I had to get Tyreek Hill the F off of my squad in that league. I spent 3 weeks just hammering people with trades on here, and I finally got the trade I wanted where I went out and I got Zay Flower, JSN, and a first and a 25 first for Tyreek Hill for a team that was ultra competitive. I mean, Tyreek Hill should have taken that team to the championship. He took him to second place in that league. But I am perfectly happy with that squad getting DK, those two wide receivers, and two first rounders for Pollard and Hill.
Insane.
Yeah, so that was my favorite move.
Insane.
And I wish I won that league, but look, shit happened, and I just couldn't win that league. So those are my friends. What's your worst? What are you thinking here, Smitty?
My number one worst trade because, you know what? Hold on. Do you mind starting with yours? Because I need to get these specific dates and
Yeah,
stuff
so I'm
because
going to
this
talk
was
about
such a
another
goofy
little
trade.
off-season thing that I'm really focused on right now is I'm big on getting liquidity in picks, and when I'm looking at it, look at right now, 25 first round picks. Like if you're in a league and you know it's sticking around, there's no names attached.
What?
25 first round picks. People are willing to throw these damn things in like they're nothing right now. And the reason is there's no names,
Oh,
there's no
oh,
draft
okay,
class.
gotcha.
Yeah, so think about this time last year. I was loading up for this draft class. I love the 2024 class coming in, and people weren't as protective with 24 picks as last year in some of these drafts. So I went out there and grabbed. I was like, all right, it's next year, fine. I'm more than happy to worry about something next year. I'm going to apply the same thing this year. I'm not afraid to look a year out because you know what? You can't be arrogant enough to know what your team's going to do. And you know what? What happens if you have four players that get hurt and I wind up at the 101 because you were careless because the pick was 24 months out? Don't be afraid to go get those. It's all about liquidity, obviously for your league economy, but liquidity can go get you some serious stuff. And look, I have more first round draft picks this year than I ever have going into the year. I'm not drafting them all. Everybody knows that. If I've got five first rounders in a league, I am not drafting those all, but I'm looking to tier up in any which direction I can to go get me straight studs, workhorses, as Smitty would say, those dogs. So, what's your worst one?
Okay, yeah. First, when you say you had 25 first rounders, I was like, that is a crazy amount. But 2025, okay, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
sorry.
Okay, so when I magically made it to the semifinals of the playoffs, I said, okay, my tight ends are not it. So I was willing. Oh, by the way, this is a 1 point tight end premium. I decided to give up Wandale Robinson a Giant who I'm not too excited for his future, for Hunter Henry, who Bailey Zappi seems to hyper target. I am super happy with the hyper targeted tight end in the tight end premium league. I feel like he was gonna really help get me like into the finals, if anything. And he was hurt week 16 and week 17 when I acquired him. So yeah, I pretty much traded away nice, a young, nice receiver for a kid that got hurt. Like, and the guy's 29. Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
he's
but
gonna be low key worse next year.
yeah, what did you lose? You know, and that's when I
I
wouldn't kick too
lost it.
much.
I lost a young receiver. That's. I lost a young receiver. That was pretty bad. I hated that trade, frankly.
So I had one.
Now, I mean, what's because he went off. I mean, because he went to IR
So I had
when I
Wandell in
needed
a
him.
lot of leagues, like a lot of dynasty leagues this year. I liquidated Wandell Robinson for a second round pick in almost every single league, and I was more than happy to get that.
Fire.
And this is where it goes down to liquidity because that liquidating Wandell Robinson to go get a guy like Jacoby Myers when beginning of season's like what, I need to fill somebody real quick. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to use that pick to go get something I can use right now. I wouldn't kick yourself for that. It didn't work out, but it's not like it was
I
like
mean,
an
but
anti.
I needed Hunter Henry because he's scoring 30 in this league. Like he was hyper. Bailey Zappi could not play without him. Like it was fantastic. I needed that guy, and he definitely would have got me to the final. He probably would have got me to the finals, but he just got hurt.
So do you?
Another issue with hyper targeting.
No, yeah, I agree, but I don't think that's a bad one. If that's the worst move you did in Dynasty this year, Jesus, I mean,
I mean, during the season, yes. I mean, over the off season, I mean, too many unspeakable ones.
too many
Too many
unspeakable ones. All
unspeakables.
right, so let's take a look at this. So when we look at this, let's look at some landing spots for quarterbacks. So we're going to walk through over the next 3-4 weeks, position by position, where we think people might go. The way too friggin' early stuff. Um, we are just spitballing. We are just grown men that have nothing better to do than do this and just have fun with it. So let's talk Caleb Williams. So Smitty, actually, who is your favorite quarterback? How do you rank the top? Let's just talk top two right now.
Top two. In real life or in
All
in real life,
fantasy here, but oh no, we're going landing
in
spot
real life or
in real
dynasty.
life. Yeah,
In real life, I just wish he had a better year this year so I can like solidify it. But Caleb Williams is number one, but I just wish he had a better year this year so I can like confidently say Caleb Williams because now I look at I look at JD5, Jaden Daniels number five, and I'm like, that's the next Lamar right there. I like that kid a lot. And so, and I mean, if we're talking fantasy, I might have to say JD5 is gonna be my number one. But Caleb Williams in real life, I think he got it all. Just didn't have a great year this year, and that's okay.
yeah. How many people have won the Heisman in back-to-back years? Zero.
Oh, really?
Nobody has won the Heisman in back-to-back years. I think I'm pretty correct on that. I think because I remember when oh God, what's his name? The Texas A&M Johnny Manziel when he won it his freshman year. There was this big thing. No one's ever done it twice in a row. So I mean, good lord, the guy didn't have the talent around him that some of these other quarterbacks have. Man, Caleb Williams is legitimately, you know, look at as Jason Moore would say in the podcast world, he's going to be drafted to be great. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
got the best
facts.
talent. He doesn't run a lot, but man, I've never seen someone on a college football field look like Patrick Mahomes other than Caleb Williams. He's got the decision making.
Yep.
So you've got him as the first quarterback off the board. So do you see him? Do you see Chicago Bears sticking with Justin Fields, or do you see him taking that pick at the 101 and trading Fields? You know what I'm
If
going
I'm
to say.
being honest, if I'm being honest, I genuinely think the Bears should take him. I think the Bears should take him, but there's a world. I think they should, but I honestly think the Bears will end up trying their hardest to trade that pick away. But if they ask for too much, because I can see them asking for too much, then they should just make the pick. Just get Caleb Williams. I mean, he's going to turn things around for that team. I hope. I hope.
But things are turning around for the team. You know, I truly believe the Chicago Bears are not going to draft a quarterback. They're going to stick with Fields. they've made two moves in the offseason now that have really made me think that they're going to stick with them. Is they went out and traded for their defensive lineman Sweat at the trade deadline. Like to me, that wasn't a move you
Yeah,
make if you're going to draft a rookie quarterback. The second one just happened. They fired their offensive coordinator. So they're saying that, you know what, maybe you didn't utilize the talent we had good enough, so we need a different offensive coordinator. You didn't. This is on you.
that's
The
a great point.
the
Hmm.
Chicago Bears, look at if Justin Fields doesn't dislocate his thumb, they might be a playoff team right now. I mean, we're going to have ups and downs. Look, he's not the greatest quarterback in the world, but for what you're going to get for that first round pick, you're probably going to trade back and put yourself in a position to get one of the two elite wide receivers in this draft class. And I would take Justin Fields and Marvin Harrison Jr. over Caleb, that combination over just Caleb Williams all day.
I just I hated what I saw with Justin Fields in Week 18. I mean, he looked really bad. I mean the Packers are in the playoffs, so like they're obviously good, but I didn't like what I saw. So, I mean, yeah, if he can get a stud like Marvin Harrison, that'd be fantastic. So, well, with that being the case, where do you think Caleb Williams should go? Who do you think has the ability to trade up like that?
So I think Washington's going to get him regardless. I think Washington's going to trade.
Oh,
I think Washington's going to trade from the two to the one. It's not a
hmm,
huge haul, but Washington's not going to trade that to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to trade that to go get their quarterback, and then Bears can get who they were going to draft at the 101 anyway if they decide not to move off field. So I really think Washington is going to be a good landing spot for him. Washington's definitely drafting a quarterback, and whatever quarterback probably lands in Washington might be my favorite fantasy quarterback of the draft. And the reason on that one is
really?
weapons. Great weapons. You got two good receivers. I really believe you have two good receivers. The other landing spot's
Three?
Atlanta because they have a lot of talent on that offensive football team. But yeah, I mean, I think Caleb Williams ends up in Washington. I really do.
Okay. I mean, I like it. Just there's gonna be too many. I mean, that the Washington's gonna be a completely different team, and I don't think they're ready to do cool things just yet. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So who lands? New England's got the third pick. What QB lands in New England? Because there is no way they are not drafting a quarterback. They have moved past Mac Jones, dude.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've been thinking Drake May throughout the whole season. I'm like Drake May to the Patriots. I just see that happening, but maybe JD5 impresses enough. Jaden Daniels to the Patriots. That
I
could be wildly exciting.
I like it. I do. I think that's wildly exciting. I do. So I've changed my viewpoints, by the way. I know I was really firing up Penix, and I was really going at it because I wanted to mess with some Michigan fans in that chat. But yeah,
Oh, unfortunate.
yeah, I moved Penix down my board slightly, off of the QB2. He's moving down in the 3 or 4 for me, but Drake May, man. I mean, it just really seems like the Josh Allen type city, and like Drake May seems a lot like Josh Allen,
Yeah.
like just the men of all men, run, throw. I don't care what the temperature is. Like I'm going for it. So I think Drake May ends up there, but where do you think Bo Nix? I mean, do you think Bo Nix is even going to be a first round pick?
I'm looking at the board right now, and I mean, I'm looking at some teams that can use him. I think, you know what? Let me talk about Penix real quick. I think his performance during the Natty was unfortunate. Well, what makes it cool is now he can go to a team like Denver. Now Denver can scoop him up and be happy. Now Vegas can scoop him up and be happy. Like Phoenix is still a dog, so he can go somewhere that really needs him. He can fall, enough, and he'll be like, wow, he really might be quarterback too if he falls to the right landing spot, which he's gonna fall now, and that's kind of the best thing that could happen for him. And unfortunately, that slightly raises JJ McCarthy, so he might end up in a needy team as well.
Oh, by the way,
Do
yeah.
you want any of these quarterbacks to end up in Seattle?
Um, you know what? With Pete Carroll moving on, that was my thought. Is what happens to Gino? It's just like that was a marriage made in heaven, and now I just can't see.
Sure was.
And they loved each other. Like it just was awesome. So I don't know, but I look down at this draft board and I look at who's picking 11th, and you know I think we could see some action in the 11. That's the Minnesota Vikings. They are ready to move on from Kirk Cousins, and Kirk's coming off that torn
Right.
Achilles. So this is a really good landing spot for a quarterback. And if you think about that, we have arguably the best wide receiver in football. I believe he's the best right now, when healthy. Him or Tyreek.
Okay, JJ.
Yeah, Chase is a third on that one for me. But you have Addison on the other side. You got Hawk on there. Tyreek Hill is a better wide receiver than Jamar Chase. Sorry, I know that's your boy, but Tyreek Hill is a better wide receiver. But Minnesota could be a really good landing spot for somebody. So I'm going to pull back and just say whoever lands in Minnesota, that might be my favorite quarterback, actually.
You made a great point. The weapons over there, I mean, oh man, that might be a perfect place for Phoenix. Or you know what? Maybe Bo. Maybe Bo.
Yeah, I want to see Penix do something. I think he can be good. I've watched him all year just drop dimes on 30, 40-yard passes down the field. And Rome, oh my God, we'll get into the wide receivers. I love Rome. Look, it just wasn't a good one national championship for them. It happens. They played the best defense in the country. It happens. It just happens sometimes. But let's get into the debate. We're about 55 minutes in here, and then we'll close this one out. But look, guys, so Smitty and I, we love debating some things, and we went at it in chats on another pod about best Radiohead albums. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna make this part of our podcast to end the show. So we're gonna, we're not drafting, we're just gonna debate right now. Smitty, when we think about Metallica albums, look, this was the band of my childhood. Like, if we really think about the band that really changed things for me, it was the metal side of Metallica and how they blended it with just four monsters. I mean, four monsters. Then it went to three, and then we had Jason Newsted come into the band. But Cliff Burton, rest in peace. That was the original bass player for Metallica. I think they had four
Genius.
masterpiece albums. I mean, just absolute masterpiece. But what is your favorite Metallica album?
So, and even though I understand why it's not considered, Kill Them All was super fun, like super, super fun. But as soon as you move from Kill Them All into like Ride the Lightning, where they just start adding more instrumentation and it's just songs are getting broader, longer, and more adventurous. I think that instant jump from Kill Them All to Ride the Lightning makes Ride the Lightning my favorite one. But then you look at Master of Puppets. I mean, that song alone and Battery and Orion. I mean, oh my God, those two. It's just between those two, and I cannot really choose. But I think I want to give the edge to Ride the Lightning just because of their jump from Kill Them All to Ride the Lightning. I think that Super Saiyan bro Chad moment where they just bulk up and get crazy. I think I have to respect that jump.
That jump was huge, and here's what the jump did. And when you look at Metallica Kill 'Em All, look at that came out in 1983. So Metallica was known as a touring band, a band that was just a live band, and their main goal in life was to play harder, faster, and partier harder than anybody else. And the band collectively at that point was about their lead singer. And when you look at James Hetfield, like, it was, you got a badass dude, and then you got a person that can tear your face off with the guitar, and Chris Hammond. But on that Kill 'Em All album, we had Hit the Lights, Four Horsemen, Motor Breath, Jump in the Fire, and Seek and Destroy. Those are amazing, amazing songs, but it was really rough. It was really rough. And then Metallica said, you know what, guys? I'm going to show you that not only can we play, we can be studio friggin' musicians. And Ride the Lightning was a pivotal moment in that band's life, which is why I do agree that Ride the Lightning is the best album. And that is because that's the album that the band became Lars's band. And if anyone knows anything about me, I love the timekeepers, the drummers. Everybody talks about the timekeepers. And the biggest thing is, when you can name the name of the drummer in a band, they're one of the greatest gods ever. Because how many drummers can you name off the top of your head right now, Smitty? Probably not that many. But
I mean, frankly, I can do a few.
you can do a few. But my point is,
I mean, just it's me though. It's me. It's
yeah,
me though.
but the drummers
It,
are. But
yeah.
if you listen to a Metallica album, Lars took over that band on Ride the Lightning. And when you're jamming out, how many times are you going to be air drumming out to a Metallica song or in your head know the exact beat and the downbeat and how we hit it? But that led into Master of Puppets. And listen, so Ride the Lightning, we had Fight Fire with Fire, Ride the Lightning, the epic anthem of Metallica, if you've ever been to a live show, For Whom the Bell Tolls. That was the song on the CD that Lars, it became his band. It had the Lars Ulrich drumming sound. So you had For Whom the Bell Tolls followed by Fade to Black on that album. And if you go back to any Metallica albums, there's always song 3 and 4.
Fade to Black. Oh my god.
It was an incredible album.
Oh my
But then
god.
they go into Master of Puppets, guys, okay? So I'm just walking you through some music right now, Smitty. But then we go to Master of Puppets in 86, and we got Battery, Master of Puppet, The Thing That Should Not Be, and Welcome Home Sanitarium. So absolute masterpiece that now Lars and Chris Hammond are just jamming together, making love with both of their sounds together. And it's no longer James Hetfield's band. It didn't become the lead singer's band until we get to the Black Album, and that's when it became his band. But Ride the Lightning, 100% for me. I mean, that's I think the best album. But I do think all three of those albums I just talked about led up to actually their masterpiece. It's probably their best masterpiece, but not their best album, just for what I like. And Justice for All was a frigging masterpiece of an album. I mean, it was 1988.
Well, let me add something. I mean, let me just share something real quick. The opening track, Blackened, is not only my favorite Metallica song by far and away, but a top 10, if not top 5 song of all time for me. Blackened is fun. Oh my God. I'm just thinking of the journey that song takes me through. I adore that song to death.
Dude, just the intro and the slowness of it, like that's true, like musician style, like guitar playing. And then right after Battery went into Master of Puppets. I mean, just does it get any better than that? And Sanitarium. I mean, we all are sorry. Whoa, no, we went to Injustice for All after Black and Eye of the Beholder. Then we went to One, and then another kick-ass live,
Oh,
and then another kick-ass live song they do is Harvester of Sorrow. So, dude, those are four just epic, epic albums. And you know what I love, and you know what I love about Metallica is they're not arrogant to think they did something that was the best. Same reason we're not arrogant to think we know what's going to happen. Metallica came out with an album called Load in 1996 and then had to release another album directly after that called Reload because it flopped so bad on their Load album. And those two albums, by the way, I don't think they're good albums, but they bled into amazing songs on their S&M album because that's where those songs really came out. So I'm a Ride the Lightning guy 100% when it comes to Metallica.
what is that? Is that the Symphony album?
That S&M is a symphony album they did with the I think it was San Francisco Orchestra.
I don't care. I'm not listening to it.
Smitty, you gotta listen to it.
I've never heard this one.
Smitty, you gotta listen to it. Dude, it's incredible. I'm gonna send you 4 songs. All right, guys, we're at an hour. Thanks for joining us. Smitty, any last words you want to throw in here before we end this?
Because this is where our minds get to run free and we don't get to get hurt by what actually happens.
Yep,
To be a fantasy fan.
it is. Enjoy the off season. Tune in if you want to listen to us. We like to BS around. Let's have some fun, but get at it. You want to do your tradings, do your process, do whatever the hell you want. This is why we live in an imaginary world that we absolutely love. It's not reality. So, all of our leagues, enjoy. We'll talk to you soon. Great year, by the way, from everybody.